everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Daisy and Smelter here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hello, Facebook. It is 7:44 and it's almost time for Work Love. And right now, don't have any coffee because it's evening edition of Work Love. So we've got wine to chat. So as people are hopping on, let's just do a little bit of a recap of my day today. So we usually are on bright and early in the morning, and not today because I was actually in State College doing a all-day leadership conference. So we'll see how my voice holds up. I'm not going to lie, my energy is really low. I'm pretty tired, but this is, a perfect kind of lead on to the topics that I want to talk about today. And I kind of did a sneak peek earlier on about new rules, habits, and rituals. But one of the new kinds of habits that I've been getting into, or even rituals, is doing these weekly Wednesday videos. And so it was really important to me to make sure that this happens and not to just skip it, because you have to kind of make things work in your daily schedule. So had an incredible day today at this conference for the SHRM chapter up in State College. We got to talk about your power and your path, which highlights some concepts from my first book, From Heart to Heart. Tony Hernandez was there with me facilitating that. And so anytime the two of us get to come together, it's just some really amazing stuff that happens. And then I got to talk about artfully moving mountains, the concept of micro and equities, and the lessons that my daughter Madeline has taught me about that. And I'm really passionate about that. And then I got to end talking about disengagement cycles. And really, this is probably the first full-blown workshop that I've done that's an hour and 45 minutes of really letting people kind of dive into it from a concept of hitting it from a HR professional and how we can help people as they're kind of having disengagement cycles and slowly kind of disengaging from their workplace. So all in all, it was a really great day. But with that, there's been a lot of, how do I say this? Starting in January, I really had started to build some really new rituals for myself. And when I say rituals, almost like daily practices, ways to make sure that I take care of me, ways to make sure that I feed myself so that I can show up at my best. And during January and February, and even a good chunk of March, I was traveling and working, but not like what I do during conference season. And the irony of this is that April is not as busy as what the fall will probably be. So it's a good kind of tester month. But as things have started to pick up, doing one presentation last week, doing the one today, so traveling yesterday, coming home today, and watching my energy levels, getting ready to leave for California on Sunday. So those of you that will be joining me at the Women's Conference in California in Anaheim, I'm really pumped about that. Disneyland Resort. But getting ready to leave for California and then coming back, and we have the LA retreat, and then I move into my second seminar for Qigong, medical Qigong training. And so it's a lot of travel. And so doing that, these perfect little kind of agendas that I had built on a daily basis, as far as getting a run in, doing Qigong for from 10 to 45 minutes, in between, it has become more and more difficult. Yet knowing that these practices that I put into place were really important for ensuring that I can show up at my best. The other one, I didn't bring the book, it's in my other bag, but the other one is the Start Today journal by Miss Rachel Hollis that I got, which is all about focusing on gratitude and being clear about your goals every single day. I'm really struggling to do that every single day, even though I know it's a really great practice. And so giving myself grace on days that I miss. So there's a lot of things that I've kind of given myself and established in these rituals, but also like habits. So like, 3-4 years ago now, I went gluten-free. I don't have like, I have a sensitivity to it. I don't have like a severe allergy where something really terrible would happen to me if I ate it. So, but making the decisions to not eat gluten, because it did impact me. I would end up in a brain fog. I would be overly tired. I couldn't do my work. So that whole kind of aspect, so shifting the habits, drinking more water, all those kinds of things. This year has really been a lot of, so far in 2019, establishing those and really kind of laying that foundation to move forward. But in doing so, in establishing these, life does not stop. It keeps going. And how does that integrate in? And it's so easy to default back to what we've always known and has been our comfort area and our comfort place. And I think one of the biggest things out there is just to give yourself grace. I mean, we don't need perfection. If you have rituals or habits or new ways that you are setting in place and then you slip back into the old, does not mean that you're a failure, does not mean that you screwed up so you should just give up. And I think that, I know that I used to do that a lot when I would do any sort of, diet per se. That I would start and then fall off the wagon and then be like, well, if I fell off, then I'm just done. But that's not how this works. Every single day we get to choose again and realign with our goals, which is one of the reasons why I love this whole concept of the Start Today Journal by Rachel Hollis, where she has you basically identify 5 things that you're grateful for and then write 10 affirmations that are your goals and your dreams. And so every day you get to choose again, you get to recenter yourself and forgive yourself for whatever happened yesterday. And you don't even have to forgive yourself. I mean, it's amazing to me when it comes to the concept of loving ourselves, of feeling worthy, of taking care of ourselves. We're our own worst critic. Yet we're also usually the one that does not take care of ourselves, but we blame ourselves and we're so hard on ourselves. And we just need to stop. We need to embrace the fact that you are growing and being open to change and attempting to change those kinds of things. That's really important. So habits and rituals, when you know that it's what's best for you to show up at your best, it has to be a priority. This morning, doing my Qigong daily practice was really important for me to be able to show up today at my absolute best for why I was in State College. And so I had 2 options. I could hop on here and do work love, or I could do my practice. And the practice was really critical. This was also important to me. And so here I am still holding myself accountable, but also providing that period of grace, providing some wiggle room. I think that some of these pieces is we get so caught up in what we think has to happen, the way that it has to happen. And when we don't give ourselves that kind of wiggle room in things, and we hold ourselves to this kind of rigid, very rigid regimen of what we think that we have to be doing all the time, it really can be like almost self-sabotaging. We can reach our goals and we can get there if we are open-minded about it and we shift our perspective to not perfection, but just moving and having momentum and continuing in that right direction. And so when we're thinking about our goals and wanting to obtain them, as long as we're moving in that direction and we're slowly taking steps or gigantic leaps, whatever, as long as we're moving in that direction, it is still where we need to go, where we want to go. Hi, Kelly. Haven't seen you in forever. So that's kind of my little riff on new habits and new rituals and establishing those and making them happen in whatever capacity that is for you, whether it's a new hobby, whether it's just wellness related or eating related, or even at work, for setting boundaries. And so that's the last piece that I want to talk about is new rules, is setting rules for yourself. especially in a professional environment. There is a culture that's kind of out there that we all kind of function unknowingly by, that it's unsaid, that professionally there are these rules that we come to abide by. But for us to really operate at our personal, professional best, we have to have these balanced lives. So work-life balance is this constant conversation. Or really, for me, I believe it's a balanced life. It's getting exactly what you need personally and professionally to feel complete. And that's different for each of us. And so since it's different for each of us, sometimes we all need different rules. Sometimes we have to set hard rules that we've got to leave work by certain times on certain days, because for us, we need to have time with our family. We have to be there and we have to be present. For others, we have to give ourselves permission that we have to work late and meet deadlines, because meeting certain deadlines or doing projects to a certain quality is necessary for us to have that balance. Or giving ourselves permission to answer a few emails at night. And so I'm not saying one or the other is right in any scenario, but one could be right for you or not for you. We all have different needs to make that balanced life, to have it make sense. And I just challenge you to not be afraid to establish a rule for yourself that you know will allow you to show up at your best and get what you need, and probably even perform at a higher potential and capacity than you are now, because it's not what is commonly done. It's so funny, like talking about the concept of the 8 to 5. That's when we usually show up at the office or not at the office. And I know I'm guilty of this, that I want to feel like I need to show up and leave at those kind of standard office hours. But that's not when I operate at my best. There's probably 2 hours after lunch where I kind of just float around the office, trying not to justify taking a nap, but not being able to focus enough to do work. And then I'll hit 3 to 4 o'clock and I'll really be able to focus, but then I'll have to shut down by 5 because that's when you're supposed to shut down. No. So is there a way to go to work a little bit later? Or now, I mean, on Mondays, I'll usually go to work in the morning and then I come home from 1 o'clock till 4. And then I'll go back to work and then I teach at the college. And that is actually one of my most productive days. And I have like just this weird kind of extended lunch break in the middle. I'm still working my hours. But when we're talking about those concepts, it's what works best for you. You know, establishing rules that make sense for you, not for everybody else. And yes, there still has to be some order in our organizations. It can't be complete chaos. So think about the impact that what you're wanting to do has on others. But in a scenario where it doesn't really impact anyone else, it's not really going to have a lasting the detrimental impact to the organization. Why not? You know, look at those scenarios. I think a lot of times we assume that we can't do something before we even talk about it. And the more and more we're seeing consistently that people are wanting that flexibility, wanting to have those rules that really feed them and nurture them and take care of them, yet they're not asking, and they want to be asked. But we're not quite there yet. I don't think that, you know, from a leadership capacity as organizations, you know, we're trying to get around to having those conversations, but they're not quite there yet. And I don't know if that's because we don't know how to have them, or there's just too much to do to have them. So, you know, part of it is that you gotta step up and ask for what you need, because you want to. I know all the people that I know professionally want to show up at their best, and they want to do what they do professionally, passionately, be fully engaged. And so you know best what you need to make that happen. And so you have to ask. You have to talk and explain and share, and realize that not everyone has the same perspective, but that's why we're also valuable in the workplace. We have this level of diversity that allows us to bring something unique to our organizations and our work that no one else can bring. And And so that's what makes us valuable and why they'll appreciate us and even appreciate the fact that you're trying to do the work so that you can reach your full potential. So yeah. So new rules, habits, and rituals, all about change for personal and professional growth. Hard to, with any change to sustain it is it's got to become a new way of life, and that takes time. And it doesn't happen perfectly, but always, always have your eye on moving forward. So we're going to keep this week kind of short because I'm tired. And I talked all day, did lots of riffs all day, and I probably riffed a couple of things that I riffed today in this episode. But as you're checking in, make sure you like or say hello on Facebook or on Instagram, or give a wave so I know that you watched. And any questions, comments, would love to hear them, see them. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Have a great week. Oh, and next week we will be on Pacific Standard Time because I am not getting up at 4 a.m. in California to do work love. Sorry. So it will be a weird time again, and I'll post a reminder for that. But next week, join me, and we'll be in California. We'll be in California doing Work Love Wednesday, and it will be awesome. And it will be the day after I spoke, so I can share that with you. And I really am excited, but I'm really tired, so I can't be as pumped as I usually am. So have a great night. Enjoy a glass of wine. See ya.